How's it going, ladies and bruises? Up, Bobby Sixkilla, and welcome back. The Ever 17, the Coco route. We're Kid again, and we appear to be in the Cosmic Whale Room. He says it's raining, but I hope he's not doing the rainbow thing again, because that got weird. I was sitting at the tip of the whale's nose. Sarah was beside me. She covered her head with her hand to keep the droplets from getting her hair wet. Rain? You know it's not rain, don't you? It's just the whale blowing out water. I know that. I know it, but it looks like it's raining to me. Water, misty and drizzling, poured upon us from the sky. The stars reflected lights from the water droplets and emitted vibrant colours. We were in the cosmos. The whale was alive. At least it seemed that way to me. A whale swimming in the starry sky. His back surging like a wave, he undulated again and again. His soft mouth opening and closed, and even puffed up time to time. About every 3 minutes he blew out a warm breath through his blowhole. The seawater mist of spray would scatter around the air. I didn't think it was a real whale. Is it a real whale? Sitting at the tip of his nose, Sarah and I bobbed up and down in time with his movements, although he undulated so slowly that we could let go with our hands and still feel safe. It was like a cradle rocking back and forth. On the back of the whale we sailed through the cosmos. Sarah took the lighter from her pocket and lit it. The shimmering flame coloured her face red. She had a pendant in her other hand. The pendant was shaken in Sarah's small hand. It was the same one she'd shown me in the small room in the warehouse. Hey Sarah, I'm going to ask you again, but who was the man in that pendant? I already told you, right? What? That he's from the sun? Yep. She handed me the pendant and the lighter, and I stared at the image closely. It goes without saying, but he seemed to look like a normal person. I had no idea how people from the sun were supposed to look, but the man in the image at least had the face of an earthling. He looked like an ordinary young man to me. Maybe he's Kuranari. Are you serious? He's from the sun? I asked her. You're so gullible, kid. What? There's no such thing as people on the sun. Do you honestly think life could exist on that ball of fire? So, you were lying to me? I wouldn't call it lying, I was joking with you, giving you a hard time. What's that supposed to mean? Well, what do you think it means? Sarah stretched out her arm and put out the lighter. Click. The darkness spread across the cosmos. I put the lighter and her pendant together, returning them to her. Just then, Sarah slid down the back of the whale without a word. I hastily followed suit. You can only see the image when you're outside. It's made in a way that is only visible under sunlight. That's why I said he was a sun person. Sarah stood next to the whale and started talking. When I was young, I really believed it though. I used to believe that you could only see it with the sunlight because it was made by people who lived in the sun. And that because I had this pendant, I was one of their children. And that I was sent to Earth on some kind of mission. I used to imagine stuff like that, like you're a ninja. Looking back on it now, I know those were really just childish fantasies. Wait a second, Sarah. We're 103 feet underwater. Where is there any sun? Sarah interrupted me and lit the lighter. Light filled the space around us. The flickering flame, despite the insignificant size, a red, the colour of a sunset, shone upon the dome-shaped ceiling. A flame. Even without the sun, you can see it if you've got a lighter. It took me a long time to realise it though. So I guess I was 10 or 11. Really, sunlight or a flame, huh? But still, even if there is sunlight or flame, there are some people who can't see it. People who can't see it. Meaning pretty much everyone except me. I'm the only person I found who can see this hologram's image. Wow. I thought I was the only one who could see it. But I just met someone who can also see this image. Sarah put out the lighter. The darkness came rushing back. She flicked the light on again and put it out. She repeated this action a few times, then Sarah finally spoke. Kid, I'm talking about you. My scar ached. The old scar on my left thumb. Why is it? How come you can see it too, kid? Huh? Why do you think? Sarah looked upward into my eyes. She pushed the pendant and the lighter against my chest. Will you look at it again? I took them from her. Striking the flame, I looked closer at the pendant. A weak 3D image rose dimly before me. It was a man who I hadn't ever seen before. Looking at it this closely, I realized that a piece of the mirror was missing. A scar on my thumb. A piece to be filled in. I started to suspect the truth of the matter. Do you remember anything? Does anything about this ring a bell? No, not really. I was starting to realize, but I shook my head. My scar was itching as if an electric current was running through it. That's because that's where the missing piece is. Oh. Sarah dropped her shoulders in disappointment. The man in the image. I have a feeling he's my dad. What? You think he's your father? Yeah. Me and my brother's dad. Daddy, Daddy. Are we back to Takeshi again? Hey, Dad. Daddy, why won't you listen to me? Well, let me tell you. Because I'm not your dad, that's why. I think it's okay for a girl to call someone that reminds them of their dad. It's written on the preamble of the Constitution or something. You don't say. Well, I got 3 things to tell you. First, as far as I know, not one line in that Japanese Constitution corresponds to what you just said. Second, I'm not even close to being fatherly. Third, you've already got a dad who is still alive and well. So stop calling me Daddy, Coco. Oh, come on. I want to call you Daddy. Come on, can't I? Forget it. I already taken a big hit with this stupid nickname Takeshi. Don't make me put up with another one like Daddy on top of that. Oh, you're so mean, Daddy. I just told you not to call me that. Coco growled as she glared at me. I wasn't going to give in either. Coco and I stood face to face, each with each other on the verge of an outburst. As we stood there, I just couldn't help thinking to myself, how in the world did I end up in this situation? It all happened 30 minutes earlier. Hey, Takeshi, wake up. I can't go to sleep. Let's play or something. As she was saying this, Coco shook my body hard, pried open my eyelids and poured salt water into my eyes. And even shoved hydrogen peroxide up my nose. What the fuck? Giving in to her dogged persistence, I reluctantly decided to keep her company. That is fucking psycho. And then she set my pubes on fire and cut my head off. Coco was still growling at me. You gonna let me call you Daddy? She's just being outrageous. If you won't, I'm gonna bite you. Snap. Coco chomped down on my arm. Ouch, I can't believe you actually bit me. I forcefully pried her face off my arm. There were teeth marks on my arm, and the area started to turn a purplish red. Well, believe it. Coco covered her mouth with her fist and giggled triumphantly. Is that how we caught fucking... what's the disease called? I forgot what it's called now. Is that how we caught it? TB? Because she bit us? And she's a carrier? Why on earth do you want to call me Daddy anyway? Because you seem like the daddy type to me. You're telling me, after you trapped me into this, that a 20-year-old guy like me seems like the daddy type? You're telling me I look old? No. I just kind of thought you did somehow. You just thought I did somehow, huh? Well, then you're trying to say that your dad and I are alike? Nope, not at all. My dad's a lot better looking than you. Smarter too. Should have been yelling at him by then. But I couldn't bring myself to get angry with her. Because all the while Coco was dancing around like crazy, shaking her hips and waving her arms in front of me. I guess you could say I was too distracted to be angry with her. By the way, you said your dad is on a business trip right now, didn't you? Yeah. Where'd he go? He's at a research laboratory under the ocean. A research laboratory under the ocean. There's a research laboratory called EBF or something down below Lemo. My dad's a researcher there. Oh, but you gotta keep it a secret, okay? I don't know why, but for some reason, it didn't surprise me. As a matter of fact, it seemed perfectly logical to me. It felt as if I already knew known about it. It was just a feeling, but... Then you must be worried, right? I mean, about your dad? I asked Coco. Why? Well, I mean... Oh, I got it. You thought my dad might be trapped here just like us, didn't you? But don't worry, he's fine. I know he got out safely. What? How do you know that? I just do. Because I'm psychic. We know he didn't. What? Well, it's kind of like telepathy or clairvoyance or precognition or postcognition. Huh? Anyway, my dad's okay. I can just feel it. Coco had a big smile on her face. She was still performing her wacky dance. What else? Oh yeah, I can bend spoons too. I tell a spoon to like, come on, just give it a bend. And it does. Oh, I see. Do you want to know why I can do that kind of stuff? I'm actually a Solarian. Person from the sun. A Solarian is born with psychic abilities. That's why. But my dad and mum are Earthlings. I'm the only Solarian here. Oh, I see. Wow, that's great. Couldn't find anything else to say. The powerful microwaves that Coco produced had shaken my brain and fried it. My consciousness started to become hazy, as if I'd been in bed for 3 days with a high fever. I love the sun because I'm a Solarian. When I bathe in those rays from my homeland, I get all warm and toasty inside. Ah, I wish I could see the sun. I wish I could sunbathe. Hey, Takepion, I want to go sunbathe. Well, that's kind of hard to do right now. I know, but I want to. We haven't seen the sun for 3 days, you know. You don't want to sunbathe, Takepion? I tried to imagine. A high, clear blue sky, a nice May breeze, the horizon, the sun shimmering on the ocean surface. It had only been 3 days, but for some reason the scenery from the world outside felt so far away. I couldn't wait to go outside. Outside to the surface. Yeah, now that you mention it, I do want to sunbathe. But we just don't have that option right now. Besides, it's midnight anyway. No! I want to sunbathe, I wanna. Right, we can do it tomorrow. Someone will probably have rescued us by then anyway. No, I want to do it right now. Right now. Sunbathe. She's meant to be 14, right? She acts like a 4-year-old. Coco. There was no way I was going to let this outburst go. I gave her a look that said, I'm about to get angry. And Coco responded with, oh, alright. I won't ask anymore. Her shoulders drooped sadly. Instead, my 8-year-old is way more grown up than this 14-year-old. What the hell? Instead, what? Let's play chicks. What? Play chicks. P. Play chicks. Poo. Earth to Coco. Would you mind telling me what you're talking about? Okay, I'll explain. Playing chicks is an elegant aristocratic game developed in 1648 by Louis XIV of France. The rules are simple. All you have to do is imitate a chick and walk around. The winner is the one who can mimic a chick or becomes most like a chick. The person who makes the most like a chick wins. And that's what playing chicks is all about. Man, Louis XIV sounds like a fucking nut job. A few minutes later. P.O. Sigh. P. Dear father and mother, how's everything with you? I'm currently playing chicks 102 feet under the surface of the ocean. Playing chicks is an elegant game developed by Louis XIV. You win if you can mimic a chick the best. You flap your arms like wings and peck at garbage that has fallen in the corridors. Oh, you're being an ibis. Sometimes you even trip and fall like a cute newborn baby chick to compete to see who looks most like a chick. The sounds used basically consist of 3 sounds, P, yo, and n. But as you get better, flap, frou, potter. You can use imaginative sounds and even express yourself with various little chickadee gestures. Since I'm only a beginner, I can only use P, yo, n so far. But I'm working hard to become a fully fledged chick. No, I mean fully fledged chicken like mum and dad. P-O-U-N, P-O-P. I'm learning from an excellent teacher. Oh, I don't know why. I'm shedding tears, but I'm shedding tears. My teacher is encouraging me. I'm alright. I'm fine. Pion. Like Takepion. Are you saying I'm a chicken? My teacher wags her hips left and right as she walks. Sometimes she even flips her hips up in the air. She's the epitome of chickness. Father, mother, my teacher is the best chick mimic in Japan. No, in the world. Oh, but teacher, you didn't have to take a dump in the middle of the floor. Teacher is angry with me because I spoke in the human language. Pio. I mean, that means I'm sorry in chicken language. It must be very hard for you two to imagine your son playing chicks 102 feet under the ocean. Or I suppose you probably don't even believe that I'm doing this in the first place. But I suppose I can't blame you. I would never have dreamed I'd be in this situation up until 3 days ago. How interesting life is. How sad we humans are. Oh, there I go crying again. Before the ink on the paper starts to run, I'll put down the pen. Well, dear father and mother, please take care of yourself. P.O. That was the end of our game of chicks. I probably did mention it, but Coco won the game. Coco shouted with happiness and flashed a triumphant smile. Who's the judge? I won. I bet Coco's the judge too. Anyway, thankfully it was over. I exhaled a long sigh of relief. Are you happy now? Let's go get some sleep now. Okay. Coco and I started to walk. Coco walking, holding my hand. Her hand was so very small. Daddy, huh? I thought to myself. Coco had wanted so badly to call me Daddy. But it seemed she'd forgotten all about it. I was relieved. But at the same time, I felt a bit lonely. Daddy, huh? I repeated those words to myself again. I had mixed feelings. Coco and I went to the infirmary hand in hand. It was Coco's turn to use the bed in the infirmary tonight. We were outside of the door. For some reason you were standing there. I saw you guys. You had a grin on your face. P.O., huh? What's that all about? Oh, I'm embarrassed just thinking about it. Of course, the one who was embarrassed was me. Burning hot blood surged up from the pit of my stomach to my head. All of a sudden my face felt like it was engulfed in flames. I didn't know, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Right, Coco? I know what she's talking about. You're talking about how we were playing chicks, right, Naki? If you're watching, you should have joined us. Huh? Nah, I'm glad I passed, thanks. Why? I don't know, it's just... If you joined in, you wouldn't be able to make fun of Takeshi. Oh, I know. We can play another game right now. Now? No, it's alright, really. Besides, it's really late, you know? Well, I suppose you're right. Whew. You wiped away the sweat that had appeared on their forehead with the back of her hand. Oh well. I suppose I'll wait till tomorrow then. Tomorrow? Yahoo! I get to play chicks with Naku tomorrow. Coco ran up to the infirmary gesturing like a chick. You and I were left standing there. We stared at each other. Well, you see she has fun, okay? Are you serious? I'm serious. I'm not really into that kind of stuff. Me either. He was frowning, but her face started to soften as I watched. He was trying not hard to laugh by pressing a hand on her mouth. She was probably recalling my antics from earlier. I had a bad feeling. Hey you, I got a favour to ask. Huh? Can you just forget what you saw tonight? How do you expect me to forget that? Well, I suppose then you don't have to forget it, but would you at least keep it a secret from Tsugumi, Sora, and the kid? Well, I guess I could keep quiet about it, at least for a while. What do you mean for a while? You never know when it might come in handy. I could use this as blackmail material. What do you know? She wanted to use it to blackmail me. So anyways, Takeshi, you get my drift, right? You patted me on the shoulder and walked away. I had no idea what she would ask of me, but I knew that she had me right where she wanted me. Of any of the 5 people that could have seen us, she was the worst. I shook my head with a sigh and opened the infirmary door. It was dark inside the room, I could barely see anything. Still, I heard the breathing of 3 sleeping people. Although I couldn't see any of them, I could tell who was sleeping where. Tsugumi, who was injured, was sleeping on the bed at the end of the room. The kid was sleeping on the examination table. Coco was using the bed in the middle, which meant I'd be sleeping in the decompression chamber under the infirmary. About 90 minutes earlier, I had actually been sleeping there before Coco shoved hydrogen peroxide up my nose. You, it seemed, had lined up some chairs in the conference room and gone to sleep on them. Okay then. I headed toward the lift in the back of the room. I stopped briefly to check in on Coco. I went up to the bed in the middle of the room. Although she'd been so excited a little while earlier, Coco seemed to be in a deep sleep already. I suppose she's exhausted from all that playing. Coco rolled over and scratched her cheek with her fingers. Her blanket had slightly fallen off her. Fixing her covers, I touched her hair gently. Coco mumbled softly in her sleep. Daddy. I don't know which dad she was referring to, but I couldn't help but smile. Daddy. Daddy. Brother. What? I'm so cold. Please let me out of here. Help me. Brother. Help me. Brother. Back to kid. Brother? Huh? Brother? What is it, Sarah? I've been calling over 12 hours since Sarah started It had been over 12 hours since Sarah started calling me brother. The swelling of Sarah's eyelids had just started to fade, but her eyes were still watered. About 12 hours ago, Sora had told us the truth. Ever since seeing the hologram in the whale room, I kinda sensed it. Sarah was my sister. Maybe I'd already known it when I saved Sarah from the elevator. Maybe I just pretended not to realize, when in fact, I really had. It was strange, but I didn't quite understand the details of my own mental state, because it almost felt like the person who had caused me to pretend was a me that wasn't really me. If that made sense. I knew I had to find out the truth, from the moment I'd seen the pendant in the whale room, especially after I noticed it had a missing piece. I could tell Sarah felt the same way. I didn't know from exactly what point she started wondering if I was her brother. Looking back on it, there were many times she might have hinted at it. But all of those moments had seemed to me that she was half joking. The moment that everything came together was when I saw the image in the hologram, because I'd been able to see something that nobody else could. But still, both Sarah and I weren't certain when we'd been in the whale room. We needed definite proof. That was why we went to visit Sora, even though it was late at night, to have her surgically remove the fragment from my thumb. Since Sora wasn't able to perform the actual operation, so we decided to wake up you. At first you had no idea what we were talking about, but as soon as she understood the situation, she willingly agreed to help. As we expected, the piece removed from my thumb had matched the missing part of the pendant exactly. What's more, when we exposed the piece to infrared light, the image of the same man in the pendant came up. According to Sora, unlike a regular picture, a hologram shows the whole image in a part. With the picture, it would be impossible to see the whole picture with just one piece of it. But with the hologram, it's possible to generate the whole image even from a tiny piece. This is one of those special properties of a hologram. Now, let's explain a little bit about infravision. Usually, the visible range for humans is limited to light from a wavelength of between 380 nanometers to 780 nanometers. Light with a wavelength longer than 780 nanometers is called infrared. Normal humans can't see light in this range. If you were able to see infrared, you'd be able to sense the temperature of an object without actually touching it. And with this ability, you could also see in the pitch dark even without any light. Infrared rays are emitted from all objects that have temperature. Stronger light is emitted from warmer objects and weaker light from objects with lower temperature. By sensing those things, you could tell the location and shape of an object in the darkness. Surprisingly, Sarah and I were told that we had the ability called infravision. Since we had this ability naturally, it was difficult for us to imagine not being able to sense the temperature or to imagine complete darkness. But I realized something then. That was why I noticed the heat emanating from the generating room door, and that was why I'd mistaken the light from the inverter unit as moonlight. But then, what I'm curious about is, when they asked him how he knew it was dangerous to open that door, why didn't he just say, because it's hot in there? Because he would know that, right? They wouldn't know why he would know that, but he would know, don't open the door, because it's hot in there. Duh. Can't you see that it's hot in there? Everybody can see that it's hot in there, right? Because to him, everyone would have that same ability, because he didn't know it was weird. Anyway. Just seems like a little bit of a plot hole there, that's all. That was why Sarah and I were able to see the 3D image in the pendant, which nobody else could see. Why do we have this ability? I have no idea. Sora explained to us that it was a special ability passed on genetically. Genetics. This also meant it was highly possible that Sarah and I had the same parents. That's when it became almost certain that Sarah and I were brother and sister, but still, something seemed to be missing. We took a DNA test with the repaired LMRI. The results showed that Sarah and I were blood relatives with a 99.99999% certainty. That had proven everything. And when that happened, memories of my childhood started to flood back. They rocked me like an explosion. All of the memories that had been dammed up flooded all at once, then bombardment rendering me unconscious again. When I regained consciousness, Sarah was next to me. Sarah, my one and only sister. We were fraternal twins. I recalled the bittersweet memories of the days that we'd spent together. I keep letting my coffee get cold because I don't stop to drink it. Brother. Yeah? Brother? Yes, Sarah. We hadn't slept at all since the day before. We'd spent a long half day talking about all sorts of things. The memories of our childhood, our time at the hospital as well of course. How I hadn't kept my promise. Couldn't keep my promise. I'd sworn to her that I would come to get her. Sarah and I took a long time going over and understanding all of the details. There was too much to talk about. A half day was hardly enough time to restore the missing time, but Sarah and I didn't need many words anymore. Brother? Yes, Sarah? With just these words we could understand each other. Sarah put her head on my shoulder and closed her eyes gently. I sang her favourite lullaby. Moon sprite shouldering along bow, don't do the crashy thing. Waiting inside a dream. Tonight a story by moonlight, hoping the wait will be short. Sleeping curled and snug, sleeping in mother's arms. Moon sprite shouldering a long bow, waiting inside a dream. Tonight a story by moonlight, hoping the wait will be short. Sleeping curled and snug, sleeping in mother's arms. We seem to be jumping back and forth between Kid and Takeshi much faster now. You get a great voice, Coco. I know I do, don't I? I've never heard that song before. Is it a lullaby or something? Yeah, it's a lullaby. My mum used to sing it to me. So I guess that song has a lot of good memories for you. No. No, it doesn't? No, I just learnt this song. Oh, really? Your voices were coming from the kiosk. I went in. Hey. Oh, Takepion. Bow wow. Takeshi, what are you doing up there? What are you doing here? Sorry. Oh. I just thought I'd see what you look like playing chicks. Yep, that was the reason I'd gone searching for them and eventually wound up at the souvenir shop. Oh, we finished playing that a while ago. What? No way! Naki was so good at it. Compared to me, she was so much more like a real chick. I was just amazed. Oh, stop it, you're just trying to embarrass me with compliments. It's true. You were really, really good. You, who seemed to go against the game to begin with, was embarrassed once she was complimented. What on earth was going on? Had she actually enjoyed the game? Speaking from the standpoint of someone who had experienced it, the game chicks didn't seem to possess any kind of ritualistic demonic charm that could subdue the human ability to be rational. It seemed to me that you might have been possessed by that charm. Oh well, it wasn't important. What was important was somehow I'd missed out on seeing a historical moment, Yu's wacky performance. It was truly unfortunate. Darn it. I mentally clicked my tongue. So, what are you doing now? You should be able to tell by looking at us. Coco and you were sitting face to face on the carpet. Pee-Pee had set his face on Coco's head. Between the two of them was a mountain of small bead-like grains. A pen was stuck to the top of the mountain. A game of avalanche with a mountain of sand. That's right. No, Naku, that's not right. What? This is a mountain of tears. It's a mountain of tears, not sand. A mountain of tears? I sat next to them and pinched a single grain from the mountain. Oh, I remember. Coco was throwing these into the puddle at the ruins yesterday. Clear, colourless grain. They were formed in the shape of a drop of water. Glass tears. No, they weren't made of glass. I could tell by touching them. You never told me what they were yesterday, did you? So I guess I'll try again. What are they? They're mermaid tears. Mermaid tears? Coco closed her eyes and nodded. I don't care what you say. There's no way these are real mermaid teardrops. Oh yeah? Saying this, you pointed to the display racks of the souvenir shop. I stood up and walked toward where you had pointed. The racks were packed with different kinds of merchandise. Among all the stuff, there was a corner with a line of old-looking ceramic bottles. I picked up one of the bottles and looked at it. It was slightly bigger than the size of my palm and heavier than I imagined. It felt solid in my hand. Printed on the label was Mermaid Tears. I looked at the bottom of the bottle. There was a round stamp on it. Contents: candy. Ingredients: sugar, corn syrup, acidifier, flavouring. I shook the bottle. I heard a dry, crisp sound. Pulling out the cork top, I poured some out of my palm. I poured too much and some of them spilled from my hand onto the floor. The mermaid tears bounced on the carpet as if they were dancing. I see. Holding the bottle in my right hand and teardrops on my left, I went back to where I'd been sitting before and plopped myself down with a thud. So these mermaid tears are just some kind of souvenir? Yep. Let's see. Mumbling to myself, I popped all the teardrops from my left hand into my mouth. I chomped down on them hard. Melting sweetness spread in my mouth. These are good. It had been a long time since I tasted anything besides the chicken sandwich. I'd heard somewhere before that eating sweets made people feel happy. And at the moment I was enraptured by the sweetness of my mouth. Oh my god. You shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna tell on you. Why, is it because I'm eating them for free? Well, you are too, Coco. No. That wasn't what I meant at all. You just ate the teardrops of a mermaid, didn't you, Takepion? Yeah, I did. And I'm gonna eat more. If you do that, you'll end up like the 800-year-old nun. Who? 800-year what? You and I looked at each other. You don't know the story about Yao Bikuni? The 800-year-old nun? Do you know what she's talking about, you? No, not a clue. Alright then, I, Coco, will tell you the story of the 800-year-old nun. Hey, don't forget to applause. Clap. Okay, it starts like this. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young girl who was 17 years old, and she loved camellia flowers. She also had a very handsome boyfriend. And he was about her same age, I think he was at least. Anyway, one day he gave her a camellia flower as a gift and said, "This flower is for you." Oh my, what a beautiful flower this is. Yeah, this flower sure is pretty, but you're even more beautiful. Even a million of these flowers wouldn't be as pretty as you. Oh, you're such a sweet talker, you. Hey, I'm not just trying to flatter you. I'm telling you the truth. Oh, sweetheart, my love. They were so passionately in love that they could talk her this way in public, and they wouldn't even be embarrassed about it. Well, one day, the girl's dad, his name was Gonta, went diving into the ocean. He did that because this old guy who lived in the ocean was like, "Hey Gonta, I'm having a home party, wanna come?" And invited him to a party. Mr. Gonta arrived at the most gorgeous mansion he'd ever seen in his whole life. But strangely, he was able to breathe once he got inside. "Oh, good to see you, Gonta." The old guy welcomed him in. Gonta had a gourmet dinner and a wonderful time, and it eventually came time for him to go home. Gonta said, I'm real sorry, but I have to go home soon. The old man who lived under the ocean said, huh? You're leaving so soon? That's too bad. My daughter's waiting for me at home. I'll come again sometime soon, okay? Oh, well, hey, why don't you take this as a souvenir? The old man handed him a bottle of something that looked like alcohol. What's this? Asked Gonta. The old man answered with a big smile. It's mermaid's tears. Gonta went home and hid the souvenir in the cabinet, and a few days later an incident took place. While Gonta wasn't home, his daughter secretly opened the cabinet and drank all the liquid in the bottle. It was so delicious that the girl drank the whole thing out, and after that the girl stopped aging at all. A year had passed, then 2, then 3. After 5, 10 and 20, the girl still was her same beautiful self. She had a body that would never age. Eternal youth and longevity has always been a dream and a hope for humans, but it wasn't the case for this girl. Sounds a lot like Tsugumi. Just saying. She lamented and cursed her own fate because she stayed the age of 17, but her boyfriend grew older and older. One day an incident happened that was very sad. Her boyfriend passed from this world to the next at the tender age of 34. Before he died, he said to her, wait for me for 700 years. After 700 years have passed, I'll be reborn into this world and come to you. The girl cried and cried. Boy, did she just cry and cry. After a while, because she was so sad at losing him, she decided to leave on a long trip. She renounced the material world and decided to live her life as a nun. The nun travelled around the country. She cured the sick, helped the poor, did a little farming, built some bridges over rivers and planted lots of camellia seeds. When the camellias grew mature, healthy, and started to flower, she would move on to another region and begin all over, helping those in need. She continued living this way for hundreds of years. The reason she planted the camellia seeds was as a way of giving directions to her boyfriend in case he came looking for her. She planted lots and lots of camellia seeds, so that when he was reborn into the world, he would know where she was. She hasn't given up hope. She kept believing this whole time that her boyfriend's words would come true. At last, 700 years passed and she returned to her homeland. But there wasn't anyone who knew her anymore. With no place to live, she decided to enter a cave on the outskirts of the village. She planted many camellia seeds near the entrance. Before she entered into the cave, she told the villagers, I'll ring a bell at sunrise and sunset. If you stop hearing the bell, please just think that I've passed away. A year passed, then 2, then 3. After 5, 10, and then 20 years, her boyfriend still didn't show up. 30 years passed, then 40, then 50 years passed. After 60, 70, 80 years had passed, her boyfriend still hadn't showed up. 800 years had passed since she was born. The bell finally stopped ringing. After all that time, her boyfriend had never appeared. The camellias in front of the cave blossomed beautifully, never wilting for many years. People honoured this young and beautiful nun and prayed for her, and wished for longevity and happiness, and people decided to call her Yao Bikuni, the 800-year-old nun. The end. Oh, not really. It's to be continued. Huh? There's more? Well, actually, that's the end of the tale, I know. But there might be more to the tale. What do you mean? Well, nobody actually ever found her body. They just figured she was dead because the bell stopped ringing. My god, is Tsugumi that lady? Maybe she's still alive in a cave somewhere in Japan, you know? Still waiting for her boyfriend. Stupid, there's no way that story is true. It's all just an old fairy tale, is all. I don't know. I think she might still be alive somewhere. Yeah, me too. Oh, come on, you guys serious? Hey, Coco, where was this nun born anyway? I don't know exactly, but I heard it was about 1300 years ago. Huh, you see? 1300 years ago. If she was still alive, she'd be 1300 years old. Like, you don't have to inform us of the obvious. Let me put it this way. 1300 years from now would be like 700 AD. That means she would have been living since the Nara era. Or even before that. That would amaze even Prince Nakano Oe? What are you so worked up about? You're the one who said it was just an old story, Takeshi. I'm not worked up. You're old enough to know what I'm talking about. Don't break girls' romantic dreams for no good reason. Right, Coco? Yeah. She entered the cave at the age of 700, so that means she waited for her boyfriend another 600 years, right? Oh, but she might still be alive, so that means she's still waiting, as in the present tense. Anyway, when her boyfriend finally arrives at the entrance to the cave, which is overflowing with camellia flowers, they'll finally be reunited. And the extra 600 years of loneliness will be rewarded. Their 1300-year-old love will be fulfilled. Oh, how romantic. Romantic, huh? I think it's more sad than romantic. Well, I mean, she's been waiting in this deep dark cave, just waiting for her boyfriend for the longest time, you know? She's been all alone. So alone and so lonely. But she couldn't die either. I wish she never drank those mermaid's tears. Hey Coco. What? Do you believe that mermaids actually exist? Geez, there you go again, you're too practical. Well, if mermaids don't exist, then you can forget about the whole story to begin with. That's not necessarily true. Whether mermaids exist or not doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the story's true. Why not? Well, it's obvious that the liquid Gonta got from the old man was a longevity potion. I don't care what you say. They could have just named it Mermaid's Tears, right? Mermaid's Ears. Well, what I'm trying to say is the potion didn't actually have to be made from mermaid's teardrops. I mean, those candies aren't actual mermaid's teardrops. Well, you have a point. So mermaid's tears is only the name for that strange liquid, right? Alright, fine, let's skip the whole mermaid business. But you know you. Thinking real hard, will you? Do you honestly think that something exists, something like eternal youth exists? I do. You have a basis for that belief? Yes. Show me then. Fine. This is a little off topic, but doesn't the story of Yao Bikuni remind you of something else? I'm talking about the tale of Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle? Well, the father got invited to a party and got some kind of alcoholic beverage, right? It's kind of like Rip Van Winkle. So what? What I'm trying to say is this. Rip Van Winkle drank the liquor and became a very old man, right? Yao Bikuni drank the mermaid's tears and gained the body of perpetual youth that never ages. And that means that... I'm beginning to see what you're trying to say. Rip Van Winkle hits the bottle just a little too hard, and he wakes up 20 years had passed. Just like that with the 800-year-old nun. By drinking the mermaid's tears, she was sent 700 or 800 years in the future. So she didn't actually gain eternal youth, she just slipped through time into the future. So that explains why she stayed 17 years even after 800 years. You think that explains it? Well, it doesn't. There's no such thing as time travel in real life. Hey, wait a second, don't go jumping to conclusions. I never said a word about time travel, did I? I'm just curious about the similarities between the dwarven spirits and the mermaid tears. The dwarven liquor was actually a solution that rapidly accelerates aging. What was in the tears was a solution that slows down aging. Both of them were handed down from some old guy, and both of them were given to him at a mysterious gathering. So it tells us both dwarven spirits and mermaid's tears are possibly made by the same people, or by the same civilization. It tells us that. Are you going to talk about the missing continent of Lemuria now? It does. Well, the castle and Coco's story might have been part of some ruins of an ancient civilization sunken under the ocean. For example, the civilization of Lemuria. In Lemuria, it is thought that they had the science and technology which can control aging. As for some reason, Gonta got invited to the castle. So, are you satisfied? I think it was a pretty random explanation, but that's okay, I guess. I got your point, but you still haven't given me any substantial evidence that eternal youth exists. The point of what you just said was basically this. Rip Van Winkle and the 800-year-old nun's dad must have made contact with the lost civilization of Lemuria. Alright then, let's suppose this assumption was correct. Even if the civilization of Lemuria actually did exist, then nobody knows if they had the technology to control aging, right? There's no way you can prove it. Besides, Lemuria never did and never will exist. Schlater's theory had been proven wrong a long time ago. What's Schlater? The name of an English zoologist. In the mid-19th century, he noticed that the same species of lemur inhabited Africa, Madagascar Islands, Asia, and Indonesian islands. But lemurs can't swim. Well, maybe just a little, but certainly not a long distance. Well, how do you know... How could the same kind of lemurs reside in different islands separated by a massive ocean? From when they were one and they split apart? Schlater thought, that's it, a long time ago there must have been a great landmass in the Indian Ocean, and these two islands must have been connected as one. Yeah. By the mid-20th century, the theory of continental drift had been proven, and Schlater's theory was ignored after that. A long, long time ago, all the land on the Earth today formed one big continent. Yeah. Pangea or whatever, which very slowly broke up and the continents shifted with the movement of the Earth's crust, or by virtue of plate tectonics, to become the way they are today. To be precise, the land masses are still moving even today, by a few inches or less every year. So the theory of continental drift, now known to be fact rather than theory, so the reason why lemurs exist on different islands can be explained by this theory. So there, you see, there is no such thing as Lemuria. If there's no Lemuria, there couldn't be a Lemurian civilization. Oh really? You don't say. Well, sorry to cut you off when you were just getting started, but the Lemuria I was referring to is in the Pacific Ocean. Why would a Japanese like Gonta go all the way over to the Strait of Malacca and to the Indian Ocean? Lemuria is located in the Pacific Ocean. In the Pacific Ocean, Are you by chance talking of the continent of Mu? Doesn't matter what you call it. There used to be an ancient civilization in the Pacific Ocean before recorded history. Some people call it Lemuria, others call it Mu. Doesn't really matter, does it? Oh, I'm getting a headache. I guess you're right, it doesn't matter, it really doesn't. Whether you call it Lemuria or Mu, it never existed anyway. Why do you have to be so serious? It's so childish. Don't you have any imagination, Takeshi? You're the one who's childish, you're 18, right? Grow up, will you? Get real. An ancient civilization before time, perpetual youth and longevity, Rip Van Winkle, 800-year-old nun, and Santa Claus. None of these exist. They're all just fairy tales. Not all fairy tales are fiction. Some of them may be real. No way. Yes way. Well, I, for one, believe Rip Van Winkle really existed. Oh, you're so sure, huh? Do you have any proof, do you? Of course. Then let's see it. Okay, I'll show you. Rip Van Winkle was... What? Rip Van Winkle was... Rip Van Winkle was... Rip Van Winkle was... All of a sudden you put her hand on her chest and looked like she was suffering. What's wrong? Are you okay, Naki? Uh-huh. I'm okay. It happens all the time. What do you mean all the time? Yu's face had gone pale. Her lips were almost purple and sweat began to run down her forehead. She grabbed her chest with her right. She groaned in a low voice and squatted to the floor. She jabbed her left hand onto the mountain of tears. The mermaid tears scattered everywhere and the pen on top flew into the air. I'll be alright. She didn't seem alright at all. Her breathing was fast and her body was stiff and shaking. Her facial colour almost seemed like that of a corpse. What should we do? Should I leave you here and call for help? No, we don't have any time to lose. To the infirmary. I've got to take her to the infirmary. Alright, we got to wrap this one up because we are super duper out of time. I was waiting for that section to end because it was interesting and I didn't want to break it up. Very cool. We are getting somewhere. It seems like the reason that it's not the reason we're skipping back and forth, but the way that it skips back and forth between Kid and Takeshi, it's taking all the good parts from the 4 endings we've already done and exploiting all of them from either perspective at the time. Like Takeshi's conversation with Sora about the 4th dimension and stuff like that, and Kid's conversation with Sarah about infrared vision and all that sort of stuff. You know, all the major plot points that we've got over the last 4 endings are all converging in this one run. So, we'll see what that means in the end, I suppose. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.